Hello everybody, my name is Tyler Valle, and I'm here to talk to you guys about a new hashtag that has popped up. It's called #GamesSoWhite. Now, from what I've been hearing, this is an attempt for people to talk about race in gaming, the really pressing issue in the first world, the one that keeps people of color up at night thinking, oh no, the character in the new Call of Duty game that I'm gonna buy that I'll never see, his skin color is different than mine. Oh! That shit, that's what we have to talk about today. That is the first world problem of the day. So, what is this hashtag? Well, it's about as what you thought it was. It's people who have no idea what a video game is or even what the world of video games are outside of the mainstream telling us that games they're racist because they don't have enough minorities that they think are acceptable. These people, the same kind of people who want to be pushing for gender quotas and racial quotas inside actual businesses, are now trying to push this nonsense as if they were trying to push a quota system for gaming protagonists, as if that would change the game. Now, I've already stated before that I think games need more diversity, and I think that's a fantastic thing. We need to be able to play games out there that have all different types of races of characters. These people, however, go on a different route to deal with that situation. Instead of saying that we need to have more developers come out and try to make games with different races, they instead try to punish game developers who try to just make a game that doesn't matter. The big thing that spearheaded this entire situation was the Fallout 4 trailer that was released yesterday. Now, if you were a gamer, you were probably watching that trailer going, wow, these graphics don't look that great. That dog is really low res. What the fuck is up with this game's lighting? Is this game coming out on the PS3 and the Xbox 360? Is that why it looks so terrible? When's the release date? When are they going to release the gex so modders can actually fix the game that we know Bethesda's not going to be able to fix before they release it because they're going to try to push it for another stupid fucking release? 11/11/11, right guys? Those are the kinds of questions that gamers would be asking. Instead, people who aren't gamers but instead want to invade the area that gamers are in so they can try to smash and destroy and ruin another hobby of people that they believe are just evil and wrong, decided that the big thing that they were going to focus in on was the fact that the main character in the trailer was white. Now, if you are an ignoramus or have been living under a rock, maybe you wouldn't know that these games have character creator, the ability to go in almost immediately to change the way your character looks. Fallout 3 had the character being born, raised, and then you changed the race. You had Fallout New Vegas, where your character was shot in the head and then you were given a mirror to be able to change your face. Skyrim gives you the ability to change your face the moment you show up at a chopping block. Oblivion allows you to change your character's race the moment you start the game. Morrowind gives you the ability to change your character's race after G-Up tells you that there was a storm last night and that you slept weird. These games have character creation. Now, to say that Fallout 4's main character being white is problematic because he's only a white character is the equivalency of saying that I think that World of Warcraft's white main character is terrible. Now, granted, technically your character is supposed to be the main character, but because when you switch over to humans, the default character may be white without actually changing the way he looks, that makes him a white main character, and that's a problem. That's the argument that's being made here. And then the backpedaling I saw from a lot of people yesterday was people saying, well, I didn't know or I forgot that these games had character creator. To say that you forgot a Bethesda game had character creator is the equivalency of saying you forgot World of Warcraft had character creator. That's ignorant. And it makes you look stupid. Don't think that is a cop-out to be able to making this stupid comment. Now, let's get back onto the hashtag for a moment. This hashtag, #GamesSoWhite, would only be relevant and only be true if we were to completely forget that an entire nation of people existed. That being the Japanese. The Japanese are the overwhelming producers of games that have characters in them, a lot of characters, because they pump that shit out because it really doesn't matter to them because it's a quantity over quality situation. That doesn't make that means that every game that they make is not good. In fact, a lot of the games that come out of Japan that I've played, I would rank up as being pretty fucking awful. That doesn't mean that all of them are awful. Some of my favorite games are Japanese. See, the only reason why you would say that every game character out there is white is if you were to say that Japanese games just don't exist. Now, if you are not, again, a moron, you would sit there and when you see a Japanese game being released and you see a main character whose last name is Nananashi or his full name is Yu Narakami, you would probably go to the assumption that the character is Japanese. But not these people, but because these characters look, quote-unquote, white. I don't know how an anime character looks white, but they are white. They are white. Therefore, they fall into the white protagonist category. Now, I don't know about you, but when it comes to me, when I see a game coming out of Japan, I like to just assume that the character in that game is Japanese. unless stated otherwise. Characters like Mundo Zappa, born in America, he looks Asian, but he's actually white. How do you know that he's white? Because the game tells you these things. But if they didn't do that, and the character was just there, you would assume he was Asian. You would assume he was Asian, because he comes out of Japan. I would say a good percentage, about 90% of their characters, if they have nationalities at all, they're Japanese. Asian. They are Asian characters. But those characters are now being lumped into the game's so white category. Meaning, in the eyes of the social justice warrior, being Asian is just as bad, just as evil, as being white. Now, I don't know about you guys, but myself, I've been a liberal for most of my life, and I'm a practicing Buddhist. During my time on this planet, I've been taught and raised to not judge people by the color of their skin, their gender, or their sexual orientation. I thought that's what being liberal was. To see people equally in your eyes and judge them only upon their merit, but don't look down upon them. That's what I thought it was. Now, in the eyes of a social justice warrior who's completely adopted the idea of being liberal and turned it into something poisonous that no one wants to touch with a 10-foot pole, you have to judge people based upon their skin color, which is why this picture exists. This picture, I brought it up before in a previous video, shows a bunch of white protagonists, quote-unquote white protagonists, because if you look closely at this, you see a bunch of people who aren't white, but they're thrown into that category because people don't care. Characters like Connor, which is up in the top left corner, who's Native American mother and has a English father, but his English father is not white racially. He's English nationally, he's not white when it comes to his race. His skin color is dark, very dark. But the character is thrown on there to be white. Below that is Ezio Auditore, who's a full-blooded Italian. Italians are not white. If you go down one and over one, you have Jackie Estacado, who's also Italian by blood. He is not white. The character looked white in the first game, and then they made him darker in the second game. But he is Italian. He's not white. Again, down one over one to the right, you have Kratos. Kratos is only white, gray, because he has ash on his skin. The character is Greek, and when you see him without the ash on his skin color is dark. He's not white, but he's thrown on the list anyway. Again, it's like a pattern. Down, over to the right one, you have Wei Shen's head. Wei Shen is Chinese, not white, but he's put on the list of being white. But it's cut off so you can't see. All you see is the top of his head. So if you didn't play video games, you may not know who that was. Also, here's another one. If you stay on the bottom row and you go all the way over to the right and then go over left, you see Geralt of Rivia. Geralt of Rivia comes from a fantasy world based upon Poland. Polish people like to call themselves Slavic, and they are of Slavic descent. Now, here's a little bit of a history lesson for you. You know where the word slave came from? Slav. Slavs. Slavs were the slaves of most of Europe and were so abundant and so cheap that they had no cost, no price. They were practically given away for free. You buy a Wendy's milkshake, they throw in a Slav. That's what it's like. I really want to call them privileged, if you even want to throw them onto this list. But they're white, and that makes it a problem. Slavs, the people of which the word slave, enslavement, comes from. A people who have been bastardized, invaded, slaughtered, decimated, are thrown into the same category of being privileged white folks, because that'd be problematic. That would be problematic to have to deal with. Remember, these are the same kind of people we were talking about who completely erased the fact that Irish people suffered some of the worst harassment and worst attacks and worst discrimination in U.S. history. After the potato famine sent them to America in search of jobs and work, they were discriminated against, but because they're of white pigment skin, we tend to forget that. I don't know about you. That sounds wrong to me. But again, that's because I don't judge people based on the color of their skin. So, let's take this picture, and let's completely erase the fact of all these characters' personalities. You take away their personality, their background story, their character interactions, the world in which they live in, the time in which they live in. Then you have characters who are of similar look. That's it. Look. If you're going to try to argue to me that Ezio Auditore, Jackie Estacado, Duke Nukem, Max Payne, Kratos, Nathan Drake, Wei Shen, John Marston, and Dante all have the same character, and they're all the same because of their skin color, it shows you are prejudiced. These characters have nothing in common beyond their skin color. But to these people, that's the only thing that matters. So I'm gonna... I just realized one while I was sitting here, and I'm gonna throw this in there because I'm shocked that these people are so shameless. Scorpio, from Just Cause and Just Cause 2, to the left of Kratos, is not white. He's Hispanic. He's very Hispanic. But he's thrown into the category of being white because why differentiate? This is a picture that was obviously made by somebody who doesn't play video games and only wants to see race in everything so they have something to complain about. So in closing, I have a couple things to say. One, sure, Games So White exists if you completely disregard Japan, the country that pretty much built gaming, maintained gaming, almost crashed gaming, and then saved gaming. The country that releases an overwhelming amount of games, of which they have characters, and all of those characters are not white. Most of those characters aren't white. 90%, 95% of those characters, I would say, are not white. So here's where I step in with my final word. I wish to offer a challenge to Games So White. Those of you who have a serious issue with game characters' races, I wish for you to come to me with a game with a white protagonist. For every one game you can bring me that has a white protagonist, I will give you 2 games that have minority protagonists. I can play this game all day, every day, because it is easy. All I have to do is look at my shelf. That is my challenge. Take it if you want, but you're going to lose. My name is Tyler Valle, and you guys have a great day. This is just a little bit of thing I want to throw in here at the end. Here's a conversation between a black gamer telling people that games do have diversity and that they should stop bullshitting and saying that they don't, and the person responding by basically calling him Uncle Tom, and then told him he was putting on a minstrel show for white people. I have to say something to social justice people who want to fight on behalf of minorities because they're just too fucking stupid to do it for themselves. Just putting it out there. Can you stop thinking about every minority who disagrees with you as being a horrible person? I know for a fact that you only don't do it because it's completely social suicide, but we all know when you do things like this, you're basically just saying, it's this nigger again. Like, can you stop that? It looks bad for everybody involved. Like, you don't look good. Like, I don't know, I don't understand how you can go to bed at night thinking, yep, I'm a champion for those minorities, and then wake up, get on social media, and then attack minorities who tell you to go fuck yourself and to leave them alone. Like, there is so much racism in the camp of social justice. It's insane. Insane. So in closing, stop implying that every black person who disagrees with you is a nigger. It's a horrible thing to do, and you're horrible for doing it.